right or wrong for society. I feel our government laws on felon rights are unacceptable. No matter what type of felon conviction an offender obtains, the disenfranchisement laws are the same. I need to state first off that I do not excuse any criminal behavior, nor do I feel that all criminals should have their rights restored. I do not agree with these laws because I am constantly seeing our society fall downward. In helping people, in being there for one another, and lifting people up, continually knocking them down instead of lifting them up, resulting in repeated crimes, divorces, deaths, abortions, riots, and just people being unhappy in general. There are many ways that there are many things that can be done to help our society. Today I'm going to discuss restoring felon rights. As I said, no matter what type of felony is committed, the offender loses the following rights: the right to vote, right to bear arms, right to financial aid, welfare, food stamps if needed. Some may lose parental rights. They're unable to attend jury duty and difficulties obtaining legitimate employment. The American Academy of Political and Social Science states that disenfranchisement is a political ploy for Democrats, and that if able, 73% of felons would vote for Democrats. Their study also shows that over 6 million offenders are unable to vote. Some say it's the only reason that Bush won the election in 2000, with there being 650,000 felons in Florida alone that could not vote. 48% of Democrats support restoring felon rights. Voting rights and some other civil rights can be restored in due time by an executive pardon from the governor. However, I'd like to see these felons not have to go through another timely and expensive process to reintegrate into society. I feel, as many others do, once an offender has finished the court-ordered sentence, their time should be finished. I also feel the government is contradicting themselves and they are actually setting an offender up for repeated crimes. If a person cannot obtain decent employment, feed their family, get help going back to school, or even possibly get help from the government while doing these things, unfortunately, they may almost be forced to repeat a crime. Such as a drug dealer, knowing one way he can provide for his family would be going back to selling drugs. There are many states that are already restoring rights. There are many states that are already restoring rights after sentencing is complete, according to procon.org. There are also 12 states that the civil rights are permanently taken away from the felon. According to the book Locked Out, Felon Disenfranchisement in American Democracy, only 4% of felons are murderers and rapists. 1/3 drug-related. That's out of 5.4 million people. That's 20% of our population. All I'm saying is, even if I weren't for giving felons a second chance, I feel our country might be headed for trouble with upcoming elections. Crime isn't going to just stop. Within 10 years, we will probably have triple the amount of non-voters. The opposers are saying their justification of disenfranchisement laws are based on the state rights. They're based on state rights. Arguments are probably these arguments are probably the most forward defenses. The Constitution vests that states are free to decide which criteria they want to use. Each state adopts its own laws to fit what's best for its citizens. Another justification they have is the political ploy, a move by the Democratic Party to gain votes. Recent New York Post editorial, for example, declared that a proposal by Senate Democrats to franchise ex-felons seems to be angling for the votes of censurists, not for the votes of censurists, but for the votes of the most dedicated left-wing people in America, criminals. Finally, some critics of disenfranchisement have suggested that racial considerations underlie disenfranchisement. However, it is proven that no racial factors exist. This is due to how the voting restrictions started by only allowing white men to vote and hold a seat in Congress. The actual reasoning for disenfranchisement has sparked political debates since at least Aristotle. Philosophers such as Aristotle, Rosset, and many others converged on the view that criminal offenders should not be entitled to full participation in political or civil life. And so my opposition to the opposers is, as I have said before, felons being released from their sentence are ready to move on in their lives and be reintegrated into society. The reintegration process would be voting. The laws for felon rights would prevent them from doing so. The book Locked Out, again, states that voting is the most common form of citizenship. It provides a means of expressing ourselves politically, thereby affirming an important type of identity through our political choices. It has been proven that even though voting in the 1800s was restricted to only white men to vote, their racism and democracy no longer exist, thanks to the ratification of the 15th Amendment in 1870, saying that voting shall not be denied on the basis of color, race, or origin. From the early years to present day, the criminal justice system claims their goal for felons is to rehabilitate them, whether by prison sentencing, court-ordered programs, drug rehabs, or things such as probation and parole. Whatever the sentence may be, the outcome expected is rehabilitation, in hopes the offender will become a respected and progressive member of society. Yet they take away the rights that would make someone an active member of society. Bill McCollum of the Orlando Centennial stated, "Those who break the laws should not make the laws. Perhaps those that are making the laws should not break the laws by taking away a person's civil rights." So in conclusion, I say, give offenders another chance at life, not just a portion of a chance. If they don't feel and aren't treated like a true citizen, they probably aren't going to act like one. Thank you.
Very good.